Two families are now left devastated after Jackson police responded to gunfire at the Forest Avenue nursing home. According to Jackson police, the murder-suicide occurred around midnight Friday at Pine Forest Health and Rehabilitation. 20-year-old Destiny Stewart was shot once in the head in the parking lot of the nursing home. Police say 29-year-old Samuel Coleman argued with Stewart before opening fire. Investigators say Coleman then went to his car and shot himself. Stewart was a certified nursing assistant at the facility. Both were transported to a local hospital where they were taken off life support Saturday.
Whatever the situation was, if she wanted to move on with her life or she wanted to end the relationship with him, that should have been the end of it. It should not have been a situation where you got to take her life and then take your life, because now both families are destroyed forever here in the city of Jackson.
In the early hours of March 21st, 2025, the stillness of Jackson, Mississippi. The night was shattered by a single gunshot in the parking lot of Pine Forest Health and Rehabilitation Center. Destiny Stewart, a 20-year-old nursing assistant known for her radiant spirit, collapsed beside her car, a bullet wound to her head, stealing her future. The man responsible, Samuel Coleman, her boyfriend, didn't flee the scene. Instead, he returned to his vehicle, turned the gun on himself, and fired. 2 lives ended in moments, leaving no trial, no explanations, only a void filled with grief and questions. This true crime saga of domestic violence and fatal betrayal reveals how a woman's hope and love led to her untimely death at the hands of a man consumed by control. 5 months later, Destiny's family and community still search for answers, their pain a stark reminder of the deadly cost of toxic relationships. Destiny. Dacia Stewart's name carried light long before it became synonymous with tragedy. At 20, she embodied vitality, her infectious energy touching everyone around her. Born and raised in Jackson, Mississippi, Destiny was a woman of resilience, her humility matched only by her drive. She wasn't born into wealth or privilege. Every step forward was earned through grit and determination, a testament to her self-made spirit. As a certified nursing assistant at Pine Forest Health and Rehabilitation, Destiny poured her heart into a grueling role. The job demanded physical stamina and emotional fortitude, bathing patients, soothing fears, and often being the last comfort in someone's final moments. Yet she embraced it, treating each patient with the care she'd offer her own family. "She made you feel like you mattered," a coworker recalled, her voice thick with emotion. Destiny's compassion extended beyond the workplace. On her days off, she worked retail at Bath & Body Works, a second job to keep the bills paid and her dreams alive. Those dreams were ambitious. Destiny aspired to become a licensed nurse, envisioning a career where she could make a broader impact in healthcare. She spoke of owning a home, of breaking cycles of instability to create generational wealth for her loved ones. Her goals were clear, her path deliberate, each shift a step toward a future she was determined to build. But in 2023, a devastating blow shook her world. The death of her father left Destiny grappling with a grief that altered her core. Losing a parent reshapes you, leaving a quiet ache that lingers beneath the surface. Destiny carried that pain gracefully, her smile unwavering as she joked with colleagues and snapped selfies during breaks. Yet those closest to her saw the hurt in her eyes, a vulnerability that made her seek solace in connection. Destiny's strength lay in her belief in others. She had a rare gift for seeing potential where others saw flaws, a faith that even the broken could be mended with love. That optimism, so beautiful in its purity, became her Achilles heel when Samuel Coleman entered her life. Destiny didn't see his prison record or his instability. She saw a man who could rise with her support. She offered him not just a chance, but her entire heart, her time, her resources, her unwavering loyalty. In doing so, she became a builder of dreams, not just for herself, but for a man who would ultimately betray her trust most horrifically. Destiny was more than a victim in a true crime story. She was a daughter whose laughter filled her mother's home, a sister who shared secrets and dreams, a friend whose generosity knew no bounds. Her social media reflected her essence, posts brimming with humor, music, and reflections on resilience, interspersed with glimpses of her tireless work ethic. Destiny. Destiny Stewart was a force, a woman whose light should have burned for decades, not extinguished in a moment of senseless violence. Samuel Coleman was no enigma. To those who looked closely, he was a warning sign in human form, his life a tapestry of instability and unkept promises. Freshly released from prison in mid-2024, Samuel carried a history that screamed caution. No steady job, no clear ambitions, and a trail of fractured relationships, including children from past partners. His affiliations with a lifestyle marked by violence and chaos left scars, both literal and figurative, that he wore without remorse. Even during his incarceration, Samuel's character was laid bare. During the COVID-19 pandemic, while others adapted to a lockdown world, he smuggled a phone to vent his frustrations online. His rants weren't about reform or redemption, but petty grievances. A lack of a microwave, guards searching his cell, inadequate clothing. "The system's against me," he'd fume, his words dripping with entitlement rather than accountability. He spoke of no victims, no lessons learned, only his own perceived slights. "We matter too," he wrote in a caption, a hollow claim from a man breaking every rule without a hint of self-reflection. Yet Samuel possessed a dangerous skill: manipulation. From behind bars, he mastered the art of charm, weaving sweet promises and spiritual platitudes into messages that targeted vulnerable hearts. His "I've changed" narrative was a well-rehearsed script, one that resonated with women seeking to heal or hope. Destiny, grieving her father and yearning for connection, was his final target. She wasn't the first to fall for his words, but she would be the last. Upon his release, Samuel didn't seek independence. He sought a crutch, and Destiny became it. He presented himself as a man ready to rebuild, a soul misunderstood, but eager for redemption. In reality, he craved control, a soft landing where someone else bore the burdens he refused to carry. Destiny, with her intelligence, compassion, and strength, was ideal. Someone who could manage his chaos while he offered little in return. Their relationship wasn't a partnership, it was a transaction, one where Samuel took everything and gave nothing but empty assurances. Looking back, it's tempting to question Destiny's choice, to ask why she didn't see the danger. But manipulation clouds clarity, wrapping its victims in a fog of hope and denial. Samuel wasn't a mystery to be solved. He was a predator cloaked in charm, his smile a mask for the storm within. Destiny's compassion, her greatest gift, became the weapon he used against her, setting the stage for a tragedy that would rock Jackson and leave a family forever broken. The origins of Destiny and Samuel's relationship are murky, lost in the haze of late-night messages or fleeting connections through mutual acquaintances. What's certain is that it began while Samuel was still incarcerated, a dynamic that should have been a dead end, but instead sparked a dangerous flame. He played the role of a repentant dreamer, spinning tales of transformation that appealed to Destiny's hopeful heart. She, still reeling from her father's death, saw not an inmate, but a man who needed her faith to rise. When Samuel was released in June 2024, he stepped not into a new life, but into Destiny's. Her social media, usually vibrant with updates, fell briefly silent, as if she hesitated to broadcast their union. Friends later said she seemed uncertain, aware that her choice might raise eyebrows. But by October, the hesitation faded. They became a public couple, their Facebook posts a curated display of affection, car selfies, hotel getaways, captions dripping with optimism. To outsiders, it looked like love. To those who knew Destiny, it felt like a facade, a story she was trying to sell herself. Their relationship accelerated at a reckless pace. By November, they were engaged, a commitment made without the foundation of time or trust. By January 2025, Destiny was calling Samuel her husband, though no formal marriage took place. In 6 months, she transitioned from pen pal to partner, her dreams now tethered to a man who offered only promises. While Destiny worked tirelessly, balancing her nursing assistant role with retail shifts, Samuel settled into dependency. He had no job, no plan, relying on Destiny's income and patience to sustain him. Destiny became his anchor, organizing their life while he drifted. Her posts from early 2025 painted him as her protector, her soulmate, her chicken tender dipped in ranch, a playful phrase that masked a deeper truth. Behind the affection was exhaustion, a woman carrying a man who refused to stand on his own. Samuel's contributions were minimal, a side hustle cutting hair from their apartment, promoted not by him, but by Destiny, who marketed his efforts like a manager, desperate to believe in her client. The relationship's cracks widened with each passing month. Samuel's attention strayed to old ties, including his children's mother, conversations that left Destiny feeling sidelined. His connections to gang-affiliated circles persisted, a pull toward chaos that clashed with Destiny's vision of stability. Arguments replaced conversations, their once bright connection dimming under the weight of unmet expectations. In February 2025, another loss tested their bond. Samuel's father died, plunging him into grief. Destiny, ever the caregiver, stepped up, consoling him, sharing tributes online, and referring to his father as her own. She bore his pain as if it were hers, a testament to her boundless love. But even this shared sorrow couldn't bridge their divide. Valentine's Day brought another post, Destiny calling Samuel her best friend, her husband, her everything. The words were sweet, but the reality was bitter, a woman clinging to a dream that was unraveling. Destiny's efforts to prop up Samuel were Herculean, but futile. She tried to mold him into the partner she needed, believing her love could fill the gaps his inaction left. But Samuel wasn't interested in growth. He thrived on control, his affection a leash rather than a bond. As Destiny began to see the truth that this wasn't the life she wanted, her quiet withdrawal sparked a shift in Samuel. He sensed her pulling away, and for a man who equated love with possession, that was a threat he couldn't tolerate. March 21, 2025 began like any other day in Jackson, Mississippi, a city accustomed to its rhythms of struggle and resilience. For Destiny Stewart, it was another late shift at Pine Forest Health and Rehabilitation, her dedication to her patients unwavering despite the personal toll of her relationship. Just past midnight, she stepped into the parking lot, likely weary but relieved to be heading home. She couldn't have known that Samuel Coleman was waiting, his presence a shadow in the night. Witnesses later recounted a heated exchange, their voices cutting through the quiet. Destiny, trying to walk away, was pursued by Samuel, his anger palpable. The argument, rooted in her growing resolve to break free, escalated in seconds. Then, a single gunshot shattered the silence. A bullet struck Destiny in the head, and she crumpled beside her car, her life draining onto the asphalt. Samuel didn't flee or falter. With chilling calm, he returned to his vehicle, sat behind the wheel, and turned the gun on himself. A second shot rang out, his body slumping as the weapon fell. When paramedics arrived, alerted by frantic calls, they found both Destiny and Samuel clinging to life, their bodies sustained by fading pulses. Rushed to a nearby hospital, they were placed on life support, machines humming in a futile bid to preserve what was already lost. On March 22, 2025, both were pronounced dead. Destiny, at 20, was gone, a daughter, a sister, a caregiver whose light had been extinguished. Samuel, the man who claimed to love her, had ensured her story ended in violence, his final act robbing her of justice and her family of closure. The scene, illuminated by the cold glow of streetlights, became a grim tableau, a stark reminder of domestic violence's deadly reach. The coroner's report was clinical. Destiny died from a gunshot wound to the head, Samuel from a self-inflicted wound. But no report could capture the human cost. A woman's dreams shattered, a family forced to bury another loved one just a year after losing Destiny's father. Her mother, speaking later, called the grief a weight that never lifts, a pain compounded by the senselessness of it all. Destiny's patients, the elderly she cared for with such tenderness, were left reeling, her absence a void in their lives. Co-workers who saw her as a sister struggled to process the loss, their workplace forever changed. This wasn't a crime of passion or a momentary lapse. It was a deliberate act, a choice born of control. When Destiny signaled her intent to leave, Samuel's response wasn't to let her go, but to ensure no one else could have her. His actions weren't love, they were possession, a final assertion of power over a woman who dared to reclaim her life. By ending his own, he denied Destiny's family the chance for justice, leaving only questions and a wound that time cannot heal. The aftermath of the murder-suicide sent shockwaves through Jackson, a city no stranger to violence but shaken by the loss of one of its brightest daughters. Jackson Police Chief Joseph Wade spoke plainly, his words echoing the community's outrage. She wanted to leave. That should have been enough. His statement cut to the heart of the tragedy, a woman's right to choose her path stolen by a man's refusal to release her. Two families were left to bear the consequences.
Whatever the situation was, if she wanted to move on with her life or she wanted to end the relationship with him, that should have been the end of it. It should not have been a situation where you got to take her life and then take your life, because now both families are destroyed forever here in the city of Jackson.
Destiny's loved ones mourned a woman whose potential was limitless, her death a theft of a future that should have been hers. Her mother, siblings, and friends gathered to remember her, not as a victim, but as a force, her laughter, her hustle, her heart. Yet the pain was unrelenting, each milestone a reminder of her absence. Samuel's family, meanwhile, grappled with their grief, haunted by the horror of his actions. There were no winners, only loss, a shared devastation that bound them in sorrow. Jackson's response was visceral. Sorrow mingled with anger, a recognition that Destiny's death was no anomaly. It was part of a cycle, a pattern where women with futures are ensnared by men with pasts, their hope exploited until it turns deadly. Community leaders called for change, urging greater awareness of domestic violence's warning signs. This isn't just a story, a local advocate said. It's a call to act to save the next Destiny. The tragedy sparked scrutiny of systemic failures. Why was Samuel, with his history, able to access a firearm? How do manipulative men slip through the cracks, preying on women's compassion? Activists pushed for stronger protections, better screening for domestic violence, stricter gun laws, more resources for women seeking to leave toxic relationships. Destiny's death became a rallying cry, her name invoked in vigils and policy discussions, a symbol of what's at stake when society fails to intervene. For Destiny's patients, the loss was personal. The elderly she cared for, who relied on her warmth, struggled to understand her absence. Co-workers organized tributes, sharing stories of her kindness, her ability to light up a room even on the hardest days. Pine Forest Health and Rehabilitation became a place of mourning, its halls quieter without Destiny's presence. Destiny Stewart's murder is a stark reminder of domestic violence's insidious nature. Her story isn't unique. It's a chapter in a larger narrative of women lost to men who equate love with control. The red flags were there: Samuel's instability, his refusal to grow, his reliance on Destiny's strength. But manipulation obscured them, wrapping Destiny in a web of hope and denial. Experts point to the patterns: charm that masks control, dependency disguised as devotion, rage that erupts when control slips. Destiny's compassion, her belief in redemption, made her vulnerable, a trait exploited by a man who saw her not as a partner, but as a possession. Her death underscores a brutal truth. Love shouldn't demand sacrifice, and potential isn't progress. A man who offers only promises is a man offering nothing. Jackson's struggle with violence amplifies the tragedy. A city plagued by economic hardship and crime, it's a place where cycles of trauma persist, claiming lives like Destiny's. Her death has spurred calls for community action, education on healthy relationships, support for survivors, and policies to address gun access. But change is slow, and for Destiny's family, it comes too late. Her legacy, though, endures. Destiny's story is a warning, a plea to recognize worth beyond the pain one can endure. To women in relationships that drain rather than uplift, her life is a call to step back, to see red flags not as challenges, but as dangers. To society, it's a demand to do better, to protect, to educate, to prevent. Destiny deserved a life of joy, safety, and triumph. She deserved to see her dreams realized, to grow old surrounded by loved ones, to tell stories of her journey. Instead, her life ended in a parking lot, her future stolen by a man who couldn't let her go. Her name should not fade, her story should not be forgotten, and her death should not be in vain. If this story resonates, honor Destiny by sharing it. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more true crime stories that uncover the lives behind the headlines. We share new cases daily, shedding light on truths that demand to be heard.